Trying to forecast your revenue can feel like you're just staring into a crystal ball, right? It's vague, it's intimidating, and honestly, a lot of the time it feels like you're just guessing. But what if I told you there's a way to turn all that guesswork into a clear, compelling financial story? Well, today we're going to break down exactly how to do that, step by step.
This is the big one. The question that keeps every founder up at night. It's the very first thing any investor is going to ask you. And look, it's a huge, kind of scary question, but the framework we're about to walk through gives us a structured, logical way to find a really solid answer. So here's how we're going to tackle this. Think of it as a 5-step journey. We'll start with the biggest possible picture, your entire market. And then we're going to narrow it down piece by piece to how your business actually makes money, how it's going to grow, what you actually keep, and finally, a much-needed reality check.
Okay, first things first, we have to understand the landscape. Before you can figure out how much you can sell, you got to know how many potential customers are even out there. And to make this all super concrete, we're going to use a fictional company for this explainer, a gourmet dog treat subscription box called BarkBox Bistro.
The first concept we need to get is the total addressable market, or TAM. Think of it this way. It's the absolute biggest pie imaginable. It's the total revenue you'd get if every single potential customer in the world bought your product. For our company, BarkBox Bistro, the TAM is every single rupee spent on dog treats in the entire country. It's a massive theoretical number, and a common trap is to stop right here. But we're not going to do that.
Okay, that huge number is cool, but it's not super useful on its own. We've got to bring it down to earth. We need to funnel it from the theoretical to the practical. So from that giant TAM, we get our serviceable available market, or SAM. For BarkBox Bistro, that might be all the dog owners who actually shop online for premium treats. And from there, we drill down to the most important piece of all, the SOM, or Serviceable Obtainable Market. And this is the number that matters, the SOM. That's your slice of the pie. It's the portion of the market you can realistically win over the next few years with your current plan, your marketing budget, your team. This isn't a dream anymore. It's a real, tangible objective. It's the number that grounds your entire financial story in reality. So, we figured out who we're targeting. Great. Now, let's actually build the engine that's going to make us money. This part is all about the nuts and bolts, the actual mechanics of how you turn those potential customers into paying ones. And it really just boils down to 2 simple things. First, what are you charging people, and how are you charging them? That's your pricing model. And second, how many people are actually going to give you their money? That's your customer acquisition. If you can get these 2 things right, you've got the foundation for your whole revenue forecast.
So let's see how this works for our company, BarkBox Bistro. Their basic subscription box costs 1,500 rupees a month, but they're smart. They also sell add-on toys and things, which brings their average order value, or AOV, up to 1,800 rupees. And that recurring revenue from the subscription, that's the really powerful part, because it's predictable and stable, month after month.
And here's where we connect the price to the people. This table shows our best guess for getting new customers each quarter. We're starting with a goal of 500 in the first quarter, and we think we can get that up to 1,500 by the fourth quarter, maybe by getting better at our marketing and bumping up that conversion rate. You just multiply those customers by your average revenue, and boom, you've got your quarterly revenue projection. It's a simple formula, but it's everything. All right, so we've got a solid plan for year 1. But a good financial story needs a sequel, right? This next step is all about taking our current engine and projecting it into the future based on some clear, justifiable assumptions about how we're going to grow.
And here's the key thing to remember. Growth isn't just magic. It doesn't just happen. It's based on assumptions. So here, we're assuming we can grow our customer base by about 15% every month. We're also banking on keeping 85% of our current subscribers. That's retention, and it's huge. And finally, we think we can get better at upselling, pushing that average order value up by 10%. These are the levers we plan to pull to make the business grow. And when you start pulling those levers, this is what happens. You can see the powerful compounding effect of those assumptions over 3 years. Look how the customer base just explodes, the average revenue per customer inches up thanks to those upsells, and that drives our total revenue from about 58 lakhs in year 1 all the way up to 2.7 crores in year 3. That is the power of consistent, planned growth. Okay, 2.7 crores in revenue. That sounds amazing, right? But hold on. There's an old saying in business, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. Making all that money is great, but it's only half the story.
Now we have to figure out how much of it we actually get to keep.
So let's break that down. Think of your revenue as a big pie. The first slice off the top is for the direct cost of your product. For us, the dog treats. What's left is our gross margin, maybe 60%. But then you have to pay for everything else: marketing, salaries, rent. Those are your operating expenses, and that might be another 40% chunk. So what's left over at the very end, that little 20% slice? That's your net profit margin. That's the real bottom line.
Okay, we've built this beautiful, logical financial story. It looks perfect on paper, but we all know the real world doesn't work that way. It's messy. So this last step, honestly, it might be the most important one. We have to stress test our model and plan for different scenarios to see what could really happen.
What you're looking at is called a sensitivity analysis. It sounds complicated, but it's not. That middle bar, base case, that's the story we just built. The best case on the right, that's what happens if we get lucky and things go even better than planned. And the worst case on the left, well, that's what happens if a new competitor shows up or our marketing doesn't work as well. This gives us a strategic range, not just one single fragile number. So really, it all comes down to a big balancing act. On one side, you've got all these awesome things that can push your numbers up: a killer new marketing channel, a great partnership. But on the other side, you've got the risks that are constantly trying to pull you down: new competitors, supply chain problems. A credible, believable financial story has to look at both sides of this equation.
And that brings us right back to where we started, with that big, scary question. But after all this, it doesn't seem so intimidating anymore, does it? By following these 5 steps, from the giant market all the way down to your specific risks, you can build a credible, data-driven story that answers this question with real confidence. Now, it's your turn to go build your financial story.